Hello there, chemistry students. Welcome to Educate. Let us do the halogenation of benzene. This is a part of our electrophilic aromatic substitution reactions. In our previous videos, we've already introduced the concept of electrophilic aromatic substitution. Now we are doing a specific one that is known as halogenation of benzene ring. Basically, when you're halogenating, it's just a reaction of benzene with halogens in the presence of Lewis acids. Remember, the halogens are found on group number 17 on the periodic table. It includes fluorine, chlorine, iodine, bromine, right? So basically, the reaction of a benzene ring with such reagents, that is known as halogenation of benzene. So we need Lewis acids to be able to do that, and the most common Lewis acids that we used, it is here. This is FeCl3, AlCl3, and FeBr3. So these are the three Lewis acids that we usually use as our reagents, and these reagents are actually catalysts. Basically, they are catalysts that make the reaction to be possible. All right, so these ones that have got chlorine inside, such as this one, this is FeCl3, and this is aluminum chloride, right? So these two, you can see that they've got a chlorine inside. We usually use them when we are adding a chlorine to the benzene ring. And this one that has got bromine, we usually use it when we are adding a bromine to the benzene ring. So halogenation simply means that we are adding a halogen, and these Lewis acids, as I've already explained, they're actually acting as catalyst. Let's just look at an example of how this looks like. You can see that here initially we start with a benzene ring. This is a benzene ring, right? Fully conjugated. It is an aromatic benzene ring, and this aromatic ring, if we react it with chloride gas, this is Cl2, right? This is Cl2. So this is a chlorine gas, yeah, something like that. So this is chlorine gas, and we are reacting it to a benzene ring. The catalyst that we're going to use is a ferric chloride. This is FeCl3, right? And we are going to use the room temperature as our ideal temperature for this reaction to take place. What actually happens during the electrophilic aromatic substitution here, this benzene ring will now have a Cl on top of it, and then there will be a hydrogen chloride. And where is this hydrogen coming from? Let me just show you here. If I just want to draw a better diagram, basically this benzene ring, it has got a hydrogen here. You must know that benzene has got 6 hydrogens around it, so this is one of the hydrogens here. So during electrophilic aromatic substitution, one of the chlorines here, one of the chlorine atoms here, it will replace this hydrogen. That's why you are seeing a Cl here instead of an H, right? And this hydrogen will be kicked out. It will react with the other chlorine that remains, forming HCl, which is hydrochloric acid. So this is chlorobenzene that was formed, and it's a major product, right? If we look at the second reaction, we are having a benzene ring. This benzene ring is being reacted to a bromine gas, I think so, Br2 basically. So when we are reacting with Br2, this is still part of halogenation, right? This is still part of halogenation, whereby we are adding a halogen, and we know that from our benzene ring, this benzene ring must always have a hydrogen here. Always draw the hydrogen here to show that this hydrogen will be replaced by one of the bromine atoms here. So here we're having 2 bromine atoms. This is Br2, ladies and gentlemen. So we're having 2 bromine atoms. So this hydrogen will be substituted for by one of these bromine, or it will be replaced by one of these bromine. That's why we are seeing this. There's a Br group there. There's a bromo group here that is attached to this as a product. Then this hydrogen will be kicked out. It will react with the other Br that remains. Here it is HBr. But now this is fun as it looks like this. Now let's look at the reaction mechanism. First of all, give the full mechanism of how bromobenzene is formed using the following condition. You are given this as the benzene ring. You are reacting it with Br2, which is just 2 atoms of bromine, and then here we are going to form a product which is bromobenzene, and it's a major product because it has 75% of it. Then we're also going to form HBr. Now, what is the reaction mechanism here? Basically, if you look at Br2, if you want to draw Br2 using Lewis structures, Br2 looks like something like this. Let me just draw it. Br, okay? When I'm saying Br2, it's just Br. And if we put the dots representing the lone pairs of electrons, we must have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and then 11, 12, and then 13, 14 within here. So here we are having, this is Br2. This is the Lewis structure of Br2. All right. And here we want to give the full mechanism of how bromobenzene is formed. How is bromobenzene formed in this particular case? Remember that for this electrophilic aromatic substitution reaction to take place, we need two things. We need an electrophile and a nucleophile. So we need a nucleophile. A nucleophile will have a lone pair of electrons. Then we need an electrophile. The electrophile will not have a lone pair of electrons, right? So usually the electrophile is positively charged, and usually the nucleophile can be negatively charged or it can be neutral. So in this case, we always say that during the electrophilic aromatic substitution reactions, the benzene ring always acts as a nucleophile. The benzene ring always acts as an electron donor because the benzene ring has got double bonds within it. Okay, basically this double bonds, it means that we're having an extra pair of electrons. It's just a bond, but it's an extra pair of electrons. So this benzene ring is able to act as a nucleophile. It is able to donate an electron to an electrophile. But in this case, do you see that this is Br2 and we don't have any electrophile here? Okay, there's nothing that can be positively charged here because this is bromine, this is bromine. Okay, these are two bromine atoms that are bonded together. They are the same atoms, they have the same electronegativity. There is no atom that pulls electrons harder than the other one. All right, so the electrons between them, they are distributed equally because it's the same type of atoms. They are non-polar, in other words. You already know those concepts from your basic chemistries. Basically, this Br2 is a non-polar molecule. All right, this Br2 is a non-polar molecule because we're having the same type of atoms here. This is a homoatomic molecule. Okay, this is a homoatomic molecule. We're having the same type of atoms. They are pulling electrons equally. Their electronegativity is equal to one another because it's the same atoms, guys. So there is no electrophile here. We only have an electrophile when one atom is pulling bigger or is pulling greater than the other one. If we take, for example, if I'm going to say this is let's just say this is CH3. This is hydrogen, hydrogen, hydrogen. I want to give you an example, and I bond these to HCl. So this chloro group here, this chloro group, if you look at its electronegativity, it has a greater electronegativity than the carbon. All right, this chloro group, this chlorine Cl group here, it has a greater electronegativity. So it means it pulls electrons closer to itself. The electrons of these bonds, they are pulled closer to the chlorine. So basically the electrons are pulled closer to the chlorine. The electrons are always pulled closer to the chlorine, making chlorine to be slightly negative and making the carbon to be slightly positive. So the carbon, what would we say? How would we refer it? Well, what would we refer it as in chemistry terms? This carbon is electrophilic. This carbon is electrophilic because it is being pulled electrons from, like the electrons are being pulled away by this chlorine. This chlorine is nucleophilic. This carbon is electrophilic. So when you're talking about an electrophile, we only have an electrophile when one atom is pulling electrons bigger, is pulling electrons more than the other one. But when you look at Br and Br, they are the same atoms, they are pulling the same way, so there is no electrophile there. So an electrophile is required. So the first step, it is to do what? To generate an electrophile. So that's the first step in this mechanism. So the first step, I will write here, generate, to generate an electrophile, because we can see that our Br2, there is no electrophile there because all of them, they are pulling the electrons in the same way. Okay, they are the same. This is non-polar. Okay, so here, how do we generate an electrophile? That's when this reagent comes into play, this FeBr3. This reagent that serves as a catalyst. Okay, it serves as a catalyst, which is a FeBr3. So this ferric bromide, what does it do? It actually reacts with this Br2 to create a what? To create to generate an electrophile. So I'll just do that using a mechanism format. So I will say this is my Br, this is my Br. So this is Br2. Okay, so this is Br2. So watch carefully here. This is Br2. So having Br2 here, I will react it with this FeBr, or this ferric bromide, if I got it right. So this ferric bromide, I'll just write it exactly as it is, FeBr3. You know one thing, right? That ferric bromide, this Fe, this ion part of ferric bromide, it is a more of a Lewis acid. Okay, it is a Lewis acid because remember, this is a transition metal. You must know this from inorganic chemistry, that all the transition metals, they've got empty p orbitals. All right, they've got empty p orbitals. So basically, when you're having this Fe, it is a shortage of electrons. Essentially, it is an empty p orbital. Let's just say that. So basically, this bromine here, it will react. It will use one of its lone pairs to do what? To react with this Fe. To react with this Fe, because Fe is basically a Lewis base. Okay, yeah, it's basically a Lewis base in a sense. Yeah, but basically here what happens, this bromine, it will use its lone pair of electrons, one of the lone pairs, to react with this Fe, because this Fe has got an empty d orbital, particularly not p orbital, is d orbital. So what will we have as a result here? We will have a result like this. This will be Br, this will be Br, this will be FeBr. So there's been a reaction that has taken place here. So now I'll just draw the electrons here, the lone pairs that we had initially. We still have them. So these are our lone pairs of electrons. Here we remain with only two because we have used one of them, right? Now let's look at the charges here. Remember that this was neutral at first. This Br2, this BrBr, it was neutral at first. This FeBr3 was also neutral, but we forced a reaction to happen between them so that we can generate an electrophile. So this Fe, it was neutral, but it is now gaining a lone pair of electron from this bromine. I'm sure we said that this bromine here, this Br here, it is a lone pair of electrons. So it will use its lone pairs and donate them to this Fe. So Fe is receiving a pair of electrons. Right, is receiving a pair of electrons from the what? From the Br. So here, this is the Br that is giving a lone pair of what? Of electrons to Fe. So Fe is receiving a pair of electrons, so it will become negatively charged. So this will be negatively charged. I'll put a negative on the Fe because it has received another pair of electrons. It was neutral at first. The charge here was 0. Even here the charge was 0, 0. The charge was just 0 here. But because this bromine chose to give away its electrons into the empty orbital of Fe, this will now become negatively charged. Now, this bromine that has given away its charge, that has given away its electrons, it has lost electrons, in a sense, partially lost electrons, so it will become slightly positively charged. So here on the bromine Br, we'll write a positive charge to show that this bromine here has lost its neutrality. Okay, has lost its neutrality by giving 2 electrons, so it will become slightly positively charged. So now you can see that here we have got another different scenario. And when you've got a scenario like this, what will happen? Now we can now say we do have our electrophile. We definitely do have our electrophile. Let me just show you what will happen. Now let's take our benzene ring. I'm sure we want to react our benzene ring with this. So this is our benzene ring. This is our benzene ring. And this benzene ring here is going to have its bonds here. So this is the bond. And then it has got, yeah, let's just say this is the bond. Then I'll put a hydrogen here. I'll put a hydrogen here. This bromine always has got a hydrogen here. This benzene ring has hydrogen. Now we are going to take this new reagent that we have generated by reacting with a ferric bromide. So this is the new reagent, which is Br, Fe, Br3. So this is the new reagent with negative here and couple of lone pairs here and a positive charge here and couple of lone pairs here. Okay, here we go, here we go, here we go. Alright, so this is now a time for benzene to act as a nucleophile, because remember that we said that our benzene acts as a nucleophile. It is the one that donates a lone pair of electrons to the electrophile. But now here's the debate. Which bromine here is the electrophile? Is it this one or is it this one? So the bromine that is an electrophile, it will be this bromine here. Why is it so electrophilic? Basically, this bromine here, since it is now positively charged, this one that is now positively charged, since it is now positively charged, remember this bromine, for it to go back to being neutral, it needs its electrons back, but it has already given them to FeBr3. So it will try to gain them from this other bromine. So basically this bromine, we say that it is more electronegative. This bromine is now more electronegative because it has given away its electrons. It now has a greater need for electrons. So it is now pulling electrons even more. You cannot compare it to what it was at first. At first, we just has a Br and a Br. All of them were neutral. All of them had zero charge. They were perfectly fine. They were pulling electrons in the same way. The electrons were distributed equally between them. They were non-polar initially, guys, chemistry students. But now what happened here? The moment we reacted with FeBr, this ferric bromide, what happened? This lone pair of electrons was removed from this bromine and it was donated to the empty orbital of Fe. Okay, and if it's donated to the empty orbital of Fe, Fe has become negative, but this Br has become positive, or electron poor, because it's now having a shortage of electrons. All right, so since it is a shortage of electrons, it will try its best to pull away electrons from this other bromine. Okay, so this bromine will definitely be more positive than you think. This bromine will become more positive because electrons are being pulled towards that other bromine. So this is our electrophilic bromine. That's our electrophile. So when you talk about generating an electrophile, that is what we are talking about. So now this benzene ring comes and says that it has got a lone pair of electrons. So this benzene ring is our nucleophile. This benzene ring is our nucleophile. It comes and says and sees the struggle. This nucleophile comes and says that this bromine is taken away. Its electrons are being taken away, right? This bromine, its electrons are being pulled away. So it will offer to give its own electrons. So this is now the nucleophilic substitution that is happening. You can see that it will offer to give its own electrons. Okay, so how does it do that? The benzene ring, it only breaks one of its double bond. The benzene ring breaks one of its double bond and donates it to the bromine, because this bromine is an electrophile, because it's now electron poor. Its electrons are being pulled by this new bromine that is now more electronegative. All right, and basically when it offers to give its electrons, to donate its electron, when this nucleophile, this nucleophilic benzene ring gives its electrons to this bromine, what will happen? The bond between this Br and this plus will, with this Br plus, it will break and its electrons will go to this bromine. So basically remember that each and every bond has got 2 electrons. So the moment this benzene ring, it gives its electrons to this bromine, the bond between this Br and this Br plus, this bond that was existing, these 2 electrons in this bond, ladies and gentlemen, these 2 electrons, they will now move to Br, okay, to make it more neutral again. And now what is the result of that? The result of that will just give us something like this. I think this is something reversible, but basically you're gonna have your benzene ring. This is your benzene ring, but this benzene ring now has got a Br, because here it had hydrogen, right? Oh no, there's no double bond anymore. Remember that we break the double bond. We break the double bond and we use its electrons to bond with this Br. So now we'll have a what? We'll have a Br. But here remember that we still have got a hydrogen. We still have got a hydrogen. And what else do we have here? Here we are only left with one Br, and this Br is bonded to FeBr3, and this Fe is still negative. This negative doesn't just fade away, because Fe is still negative. It's still having an extra pair of electrons in its orbital. But this bromine now, it will have how many lone pairs? It will be 1. So that will be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, so this will be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Remember here it had 4 lone pairs of electrons. This bromine, it had 1, 2, 3, 4. Right? It had 4 lone pair of electrons. And bromine cannot have 4 lone pair of electrons. It needs to have 6 of them so that it is neutral, fully neutral. Just like here in the first case, there's each and every bromine atom here, it was having 6 lone pairs of electrons. That's why it was neutral. Similarly here, this bromine that is positively charged, it is positively charged because it is having 4 lone pairs of electrons. It must be having 6 of them, right? So the moment it gains the electrons from this bond that is broken, right, it will now be more neutral. But now here is a problem with the benzene ring. The benzene ring will now acquire a formal charge at this carbon. Why is it acquiring a formal charge at this carbon? It is because basically if we look carefully here, this carbon here, how many hydrogens did it have? This carbon here, it had 1, 2, 3 bonds. So it means that there was 1 hydrogen on this carbon. So it means that we had 1 hydrogen on this carbon. So there was a hydrogen, 1 hydrogen on this carbon, because each carbon must have 4 bonds around it, right? So it's 1, 2, 3, 4. So it had 4 bonds around it. It was perfectly neutral. But now because we broke down this bond between this and this carbon, between these 2 carbons, we broke down the bond and gave the electrons to this bromine. It means that this one will be left with a positive formal charge, because a carbon must always have 4 bonds surrounding it. You know that from your high school, from a high school level, that each and every carbon, 4 bonds around it. It must have 4 bonds surrounding it. So this carbon, it was having 4 bonds at first, but one of these bonds was broken, so that this bond, the electrons of that bonds will form a bond with this bromine, which was an electrophile. So this carbon will remain positively charged. And is that fine to have for us? No, it's not fine for us to have. So I'll just rewrite what we have done here. We now have got this rhenium ion. So we call it an rhenium ion now, because here we are having a Br, here we are having an H. Okay, this Br has got a couple of lone pairs of electrons. Then we're having a positive formal charge here. We're having a bond here and a bond here. Then here, what else do we have? In our mixture, I'll just rewrite this. This was Fe, this was Fe, and it was negative. This is Br3. All right. So here, what do you see here? You can see that this is an rhenium ion. We call this an rhenium ion. So this is known as an rhenium ion. It's just an ion of a benzene ring. So this is known as an rhenium ion because there's a charge. It's an ion. It's a cation of a benzene ring. But now here, this is a problem. A benzene ring must always regain its aromaticity at the end of the reaction. What does this mean here? It simply means that when I'm having a benzene ring like this, at the end, even after adding this after substituting this Br here, this benzene ring must have all its double bonds the way they were before. It must just go back to its original state. It must be still aromatic. But we see that this bromine here, it is having a lone pair of electrons. So it is having an extra lone pair of electrons. So what will it do? It will use this lone pair to abstract a proton. Okay, this bromine can use this lone pair to abstract a proton. And also remember that this Fe that we are having here, this Fe is negatively charged, right? This Fe is negatively charged. But now here, what will happen? This will happen. So the moment this bromine uses its lone pair of electrons to abstract this hydrogen proton, remember that this hydrogen is already bonded to this carbon, and each and every bond has got 2 electrons. I repeat this million times, chemistry students. Each and every bond has got 2 electrons. So the moment this bromine is trying to donate a pair of electrons to this hydrogen to abstract this hydrogen proton, this bond between this hydrogen and carbon, it will break. And where will the 2 electrons go? These 2 electrons will go and cover this gap, because here there was a double bond initially, right? Remember that in our previous slide here, we had a double bond. In our previous slide, we had a double bond. Here we had a double bond, but we broke it to bond with this bromine. Now that this bromine wants to take the hydrogen back, the electrons between the hydrogen and the carbon will have to go to the what? To this missing gap again. And when they go to this missing gap, what will we get there? We will get something like this. This will be your bromine. This will be your bromine. This is your benzene ring, I mean, sorry. So this is your benzene ring having a double bond here, and now we are having a double bond here again. It's because the electrons between, or the electrons of this bond between hydrogen and carbon here, they moved and created a bond within the ring. This is the double bond. It has been created again. This formal charge, this positive formal charge, it will disappear, because now a formal charge simply means that this carbon is having a shortage of a bond, okay, because each carbon must have 4 bonds around it. But now we have just given it back another bond, so it is now perfectly fine and neutral. And to draw the remaining parts of the structures, we will remain here with our Br, okay, and here this will be plus what? This will be plus here you can see that we're having Br, Feb, Br3. So what will happen here? Simply, let's just rewrite this as H, this H, this is H, and this will be Fe, Br4. And this Br4, I think is going to have a negative charge as well. Look at this. So we've taken this hydrogen and we joined it into this entire complex here. We're having Br, we're having Fe, we're having Br3. So we're actually having Fe and 4 bromines, and we take a hydrogen. But this is not really a stable compound. It's not relatively stable. So what will happen? This will just decompose. I think it's decomposition, but it will just decompose. This hydrogen will just take only 1 bromine here. So this will just give us HBr, and the remaining part will be Fe, Br3. The remaining part will be Fe, Br3. So what happened here? This is what happened. The moment this hydrogen was abstracted, or it was taken by this bromine, what happened? They formed a complex altogether. Which is HFeBr4. But this is relatively not stable, okay? Something that doesn't really exist in actual terms, okay? But what happens? This hydrogen will just bond with this bromine. This one bromine will bond with this hydrogen to form HBr. Then we'll remain with FeBr3. So this is the final product, which is bromobenzene. Look at how beautiful this is. At the end of electrophilic aromatic substitution, the benzene ring will remain aromatic. The benzene ring will still have the same double bonds the way they were. It will still be fully conjugated. But what is the difference here? The difference is just that we have substituted. Here we had a hydrogen, but we've taken out the hydrogen, then we have replaced it with Br. So this is the full mechanism of how bromobenzene is formed. In our next video, we'll be doing the nitration of a benzene ring. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Tell your friends to also stay tuned.